Britain is in mourning. Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, died on Thursday at the age of 96. The monarch spent her final moments at the Scottish estate of Balmoral, one of her favourite homes, where she had spent much of the summer. Her reign lasted 70 years, witnessing enormous social change. Her son, King Charles III, said in a statement that the death of his mother was a moment of great sadness. The King and his wife Camilla, who is now the Queen Consort, are expected to return to London today. King Charles is also expected to address the nation today. He was due to travel back to London with his wife Camilla before meeting the Prime Minister Liz Truss and making a televised statement. On Thursday, alarm bells started ringing after the Queen's doctors placed her under medical supervision. Soon after, all the Queen's children started travelling to Balmoral, indicating the seriousness of the situation. Her grandson and now heir to the throne, Prince William, and his brother, Prince Harry, also gathered there. Queen Elizabeth II's tenure as head of state spanned the transition from Britain's empire to the Commonwealth. She witnessed both World War II and the end of the Cold War, and the UK's entry into and withdrawal from the European Union. She saw 15 prime ministers come and go, starting with Winston Churchill and ending with Liz Truss just this week. At Buckingham Palace in London, crowds have started gathering to pay their respects. A day after her demise, the Union flag on top of the palace was lowered to half-mast. And an official notice announcing the death was posted outside Buckingham Palace. She is survived by her 4 children, King Charles III, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward. Between them, they gave her 8 grandchildren and 12 great-grandchildren. The royal family has now entered a period of mourning. In the coming days, much of national life will be put on hold. Official engagements will be cancelled. Members of Parliament will pay a tribute to the Queen and take an oath to King Charles. A state funeral for the Queen is expected in the next 2 weeks. And now for more inputs, we are now being joined by Professor Imtiaz Ahmed from Bangladesh. He is a professor of international relations at the University of Dhaka. Professor Ahmed, thanks for joining us on this broadcast. My first question, we understand that Bangladesh will observe 3 days of state mourning for Queen Elizabeth II. Tell us more about the general sentiment among the people of Bangladesh since the Queen's passing.
Well, I guess in many ways there is a feeling for her, largely because she continued to be the Queen of Great Britain for 66 years, and having lived a life of 96 years, that's quite a lot. But I think, given the fact that Britain once ruled the entire South Asia and Bengal suffered the most, there is, of course, a mixed feeling in Bengal and Bangladesh.
Right. Now, a lot has been written about the late Queen's visit to Bangladesh. Tell us more about that. How did the UK-Bangladesh ties fare during her reign?
No, I think it went pretty well. Back in '71, Great Britain silently supported Bangladesh, was at the forefront in helping Bangladesh in many ways. One of the first countries where a mission was allowed to be opened was in London. And of course, when Bangabandhu got freed from Pakistan jail, the first place that he went was London. So in many ways, as I said, our relationship is a very mixed one. But from '70 onwards, we did have a very good relationship.
Now, the Queen wasn't really a political figure, but was regarded as a symbol of unity in a fast-changing world. King Charles has a hard act to follow, as many are now saying. What's your view of the same? Will he be able to hold the monarchy together if it's relevant at all?
I have my doubts on that. I think there has been criticism on when with Prince Charles, now King Charles III. A lot of the countries, as you know, their head of state is also, the Queen, and now King Charles III. But I believe a lot of countries would have difficult in, seeing him as the head of state. Australia would be one country. I know myself, when I was a student there, there were a lot of criticism, and they made it very clear that they would love to tolerate, Queen Elizabeth II, but not Prince Charles. A lot of politicians were very critical.
It's very interesting you say that, so because, if I may interject, it's very interesting what you just said, because there are a lot of questions about separating the Queen from the crown or the monarchy. People are talking about the relevance of the monarchy today, yet the British royal family led by the Queen had inspired a lot of intrigue and fascination. What explains this?
Well, in one way, the decolonization took place during her time. Although there was a kind of a compromise, particularly with this formation of Commonwealth, where you have the sovereign countries. But at the same time, she continued to remain the head of state in several decolonized countries, including Canada, Australia, and many others. In many ways, people, I think, saw her as a soft sovereign in many ways, and since she continued with so many prime ministers coming and going, but she remained very soft and modest, and tried her best to make a very healthy relationship with all the former colonies. I think that probably is one of the reasons she is still, as I said, a mixed feeling throughout the former colonies.
Right, absolutely. Just a final question there. I'd like your thoughts on this. She's been referred to as predating modern times, a constant in the face of fast-changing technology. Historians have referred to her as a true stateswoman. And yet I want to ask you, since her passing, do you see any resentment towards the British Empire, any echoes of the same?
I think there will be a little bit of that once things settle down, once King Charles III becomes more visible. I believe there will be the question. A lot of people are still, talking about whether this would be, whether King Charles III would be the last king of Great Britain, given the fact that Scotland is thinking in different ways. A lot of former colonies where, you have the Queen as the head of state are now thinking to become Republican. So there will be criticism. I don't think we can get out of that, because in this postmodern world, I believe this whole idea of having a royal family is pretty much out of focus, out of date. So it has to change in many ways.
Right, absolutely. Professor Ahmed, thank you so much for all those insights and a different perspective. Thanks for joining us on the broadcast at this hour. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.